Hello,
Hey
Akshay.
John, how you doing?
Hey, good to meet you, man.
Same here, man. Same here. So excited to be here. Can you hear me
Thank you.
clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you real nice. Where are you coming
Oh,
from today?
from India all the way.
Ah,
8:30 at
okay.
night. Yeah.
I got it in my head that you were either in Dubai or Singapore. Were you doing business in
No,
either of those places before?
no. I've always been, in India, born and brought up here where I stay. So that's where I am at.
Which city are you in?
I'm in a small town in the eastern part of India called Rourkela. That's where
Okay.
I've been born and brought up. And,
Um, where's your nearest big city that I'd recognize?
Calcutta.
Okay,
Calcutta. Yeah, yeah.
nice. Okay, visited there in 2006, actually.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Uh,
Next time when you're in India, please, I would love to host you, come see you,
thank you.
take you
Thank
around.
you.
I'm like like I tell a lot of people, I'm like the affiliate world's India guide.
Okay.
Whenever somebody's visiting, I'm like, I help plan their stay, their hotels, everything.
Was there an affiliate world conference or did they have a regular
No,
conference
no,
in
no. I
India?
meant that, anybody from the affiliate space who comes to
Ah,
India,
okay, okay.
they'll be like, hey, Akshay, we want to visit this and we want to see the Taj Mahal and we want to go to Goa. And I'm like, okay, I'll set everything up for you guys.
Yeah, I spent 4 months, like when I was a single guy. I just bought a ticket, spent some time, traveled around on the trains, really enjoyed it. Would love to do it again. Um, and yeah, I think we're gearing up to do some travel this year. I think a trip to India has got to happen in the next couple of years while the kids are young. It's it's
Yeah.
um it's a great place. It's obviously such a massive country that it's kind of, when you're young and a single guy, it's like, yeah, I could do this, no problem. What's the worst that can happen? And of course, I narrowly escaped dying on a few occasions when I was there, like
I can
just
imagine.
stupid stuff, like wandering around in the dark at night, and you look to your side and you realize like there's a 30-foot drop and you're right outside, and
I
like
know.
nobody else thinks it's a big deal because everyone's local, they know it, and you're like, oh my God, I could have taken one step and been a dead man.
It's like I always tell people, I'm like, when you come to India, it's like order and chaos, right? Everything seems chaotic, but it works perfectly, right? Like when you're at a traffic signal, you feel like like when my clients from the US come and we're driving around, they're like, are you serious that there is no traffic signal here? And so many, cars and bikes are going to cross by. I'm like, don't worry about it. Everybody cares about their life. We'll all make it through.
Yeah, I also took a couple of bus rides in Himachal Pradesh, and when you're
Oh
riding
wow.
along those cliffside roads, and like you're
Yeah.
sitting on the outside of the bus,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't see the ground underneath you.
Yeah. And what's even more scary is the condition of the buses, right? You get even more worried
Yeah, they're not
when you
great.
get into them. Yeah. Yeah. No, but India's a changed place now. It's very far away from where it was before. So it's nice. It's developing. Things are happening, and it's a great market to be in right now, business wise as well. So it's all good.
Are you doing business in the local market as well as internationally?
Oh, yes. So I do have a different software development team, which only
Hmm.
works in the domestic market. So, we have some local manufacturing units where we do the software for them, like ERPs and logistic management softwares, etc. And we
Yes.
also work with a lot of colleges here for their web application needs. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a small team that just does that, but then they only stay in that lane. Yeah.
So before you kind of got into like the design and the funnel sort of things, were you actually like a software engineer or did you do coding or anything like that beforehand?
No, man. Fun story. I took an engineering course which was in electronics and communication. I was
Hmm.
always fond of writing. I took up my first job as a journalist in Times of India, which is a very popular newspaper in
Yeah.
India. And I was enjoying it thoroughly. I really enjoyed writing, and I was getting a lot of, the whole media bug had bitten me, and I was enjoying it. But then I realized that this might not pay the bills as well as I want them to. So then I got back to my hometown, and I set up this small design company with just two people, exploring local markets and designing websites for small businesses. And then I just cracked through this online world, and everything changed for me.
How did you actually get your first exposure into like US market where, I believe a lot of your clients are US market these days,
Yeah,
right?
everybody. Most of my clients are US, with a couple of them from Europe as well.
Hmm.
So I used to, just like every other freelance and small company, we would be on Fiverr and Upwork and freelancer.com and stuff like that. That's where I actually picked up my first project. I still remember the name of it. It was called Market Kings SEO. Okay.
Okay.
So there's this guy who had this SEO company in the US, and we designed the website for them. And he was somebody in the online space. So he introduced me to somebody in the affiliate space. I had no idea what a landing page was. And this guy's like, "Hi, can you do landing pages?" And I'm like, I can't hear you. I just pretended like the connection was bad, and I just Googled landing pages. So I learned it on the job, absolutely. And I was lucky to have a lot of people who were happy with the work and gave me references. So I have built this entire business based on connections only.
Yeah. This is the truth is like, everybody wants an automated marketing system that will deliver their clients for them. But if you're in a client service business, I mean, in the end, more often than not, the best clients are going to come through just building up a decent network of people around you, right?
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. Like, I have not had $1 in marketing spend. And I always say it out loud whenever people ask me. I'm like, I'm one guy who has built this entire business on referrals, right? So connections is all that I have made, and I have, nurtured them. And, I've tried to do my best to always deliver and over deliver on projects. So, then the word goes around, right? And it's a small industry at the end of the day. So if you do good work, you start getting in the same networks, etc., and it works out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So at this point, you have, I think, been like with the affiliate marketing space that tends to center around certain like affiliate networks, like companies like ClickBank and who are the big ones, Digistore and
Buy goods.
and com
Yeah.
and Buy Goods and those kinds of companies. Do you find
Yeah.
that a lot of the people you work with tend to be inside of those networks?
I would say I have a large chunk of clients who work on these three affiliate networks. But
Hmm.
when I started, I actually did not know about these networks. This has been very recent to me in my long journey of about 12 years. But
Hmm.
I actually work with more e-commerce brands, which have their own media buying teams, or have media buyers that they are working with who run traffic on Facebook, etc. That's most of the chunk of my business. But yes, as I expanded and I got acquainted with the ClickBank world and everything, then we started doing a lot of VSL designs and TSL designs and stuff like that. So yeah, that grew along.
With when you're actually creating designs and pages for your clients now, does like the designs, they tend to not stay static, right? Oh, like there tends to be iteration over time where they're changing. Does a lot of that
Oh
get
yeah,
informed by what's coming to you from the media buyers?
yeah. So everything will be a test, right? Every page cannot convert, right? So when they test it out, they come back with the heat maps, and they come back with where they see a drop off on the sales funnel, etc. And then we do our best to try to optimize it. So
Mhm.
it's a combined effort, because you know how it is. Copy plays a very large part. Like when it comes to the TSL and VSL world, honestly, I have limited amount of control over how the page converts, because my job is to make copy the king and design around the copy. But yes, there are times when we get feedback where we are like, there have been a couple of great winners where we have beaten the control only based on the design, like the same copy, old design, new design, right?
Mhm.
But of course, optimization is an ongoing process. So yes, clients do come back and say, hey, this is not working, or can we spruce this up and try something else? So yeah, that is an ongoing process, and that what keeps everything going.
From the perspective of actually just like you said, making, the copy the king, a key part is readability. Do you have any like specific kind of guidelines that you go by to make it as readable as possible, especially now that people are using mobile for almost
Yeah,
everything?
yeah. So absolutely. So we have a small font library that we keep, which we know are the most readable fonts over the years. And
Hmm.
we of course focus on the fact what the demo is. If it's an older demo, we really don't care about how much the scroll is, because if people can't read it, they won't scroll down anyways, right? So based on the demo, we try to size up or size down the fonts. And yes, if we know that this is going to be the most important part of the section, or if this is the lead part of it and we need to highlight it more, we always do that to make sure readability is important and the images complement the copy rather than breaking up the copy.
Can you just sort of talk about that? How when do they complement and when do they break up the copy, and how
So
can you know
sometimes
which
what
page?
sometimes what happens is when you are reading a sales letter, a long form sales letter on a mobile device, right?
Hmm.
And if there is a hook inside the copy, not just the headline, inside the copy, and you put an image there without letting the visitor read the juice of it, that's when it starts interrupting, right? So either you put an image which is curiosity based, which is above the juice, or you put it below the juice. So they are either able to look forward to that part of the copy, or once they read that part of the copy, they that is accentuated by an image. So that's what I mean by not breaking it up.
Got it. So that it's actually kind of like reinforcing what's that the images on the page are reinforcing the message that's coming through the copy.
Exactly. Yeah. You said absolutely correct. Either it's curiosity based or reinforcing what they've just read.
Okay. And then does image quality, do you see that having a big effect on conversions? Like does things like resolution or the quality of the actually whether it's professional you don't, does that make a difference?
So I would say if you have lifestyle shots of actual people with your product, that makes a very big difference because you can immediately spot stock imagery compared to real life photographs and actual people and models holding the product. So I
Mhm.
would say that matters more. Resolution, not so much. Of course, you don't want the images to look, tattered and distorted, but at the same time, you do have to optimize and compress the images. Otherwise, the load speed gets completely killed, and you
Mhm.
have to make sure that the page loads fast.
Got it. What about
Yeah.
with these new pieces of AR software where they're using like AI models where you can like upload a t-shirt or a piece of jewelry and it can
Yeah.
put the jewelry or put the t-shirt on a digital model. Are those good? Do you think they're actually useful?
Yes, I think specifically in the apparel world and the fashion world, they're really good. But like for example, before after pictures, when they use before after pictures from say an AI tool or something, you can really make it out like it's an before and after picture. So while I use a lot of AI in different manners for image generation, but only when I think it's not going to look AI generated. As more and more people start seeing pages, they also, even the visitor who is not an online marketer, knows what AI generated images are, right? So I would never want them to look fake if I have an option of using real images or better quality stock images.
Okay, so it's almost like if it's for presentation, like just showing something like a shoe or a
Yeah.
t-shirt or a piece of jewelry like a ring or a bracelet, then it's going to be okay. But if it's showing
Yes.
a transformation, it's going to reduce trust if it's AI.
Yes, absolutely. Like for example, when I talk about a T-shirt, right? Most of the pictures you'll see on websites, they just don't even have the head of the person. It's just the body with the T-shirt showing. Or
Yes.
you said jewelry, right? So the finger. So the focus is on the finger. You really can't make out whether it's a real person or it's AI generated. So as
Hmm.
long as that's the case, it works perfectly. In fact, we finished a sales funnel for a jewelry client, and we used a ton of AI images that they had generated. We generated for them. Worked perfectly because they had no other imagery, and just putting the product image everywhere was making the page look absolutely stale and no human touch to it.
Okay. So this is a key thing, right? It's like it's not just the product, it's actually having the product and a face connected with it. That
Yeah,
people are relating to the people.
yeah, absolutely. Like like we spoke about jewelry. Let's get dive into health and wellness or supplements. If
Hmm.
we don't show what this product is going to help them with, it does not resonate well with them, right? Just having a product image and specific, if you have a very big brand product, it's a different thing altogether. You don't need to show a person using an iPhone on an Apple website. But if
Hmm.
you're using a supplement product and it's for an older demo which helps them with their joint pain or something like that, it has to be something where the benefit is accentuated with an image which makes them feel like, okay, this is what they're going to achieve by using this product or this service or this coaching, whatever be the case.
One thing I notice, and I don't know if it's personal preference or if you have see this experience, is that with white space on like a lot of page designs, there's either almost always too much or too little. Like when there's huge gaps, and then it's like, okay, you sort of lose the thread. But if it's too
Yeah.
tightly compressed, it makes your eyes tired quite quickly, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think white space is something which is a personal preference for a lot. Like a lot of my clients will come and say, "Hey, we like this because it's got white space," right? And there are some clients who will be like, "Hey, it just looks bland," right? So it's personal preference, but I feel with the mobile device being where the majority of the traffic is or where the people are using the web, white spaces is good because you there is such little real estate for them to see the product on, right? So until unless the color is either breaking up the copy or the page perfectly, having white space is not a bad thing. I truly believe that white spaces or negative spaces as they call it is great. And as far as big blocks of white space text in the middle, I'm not a fan of those. They work with a couple of TSLs really well because I think it makes people scroll down, but that's again because the copy is so good that they want to scroll down, right? So it's just it's a perceptual thing overall, I feel.
With with that, with copy, you said like you still see the copy is really what makes the difference. Is it the case that like sometimes it can be that the copy is really good, but if it's just no, if it's designed in a way that makes it harder for people to see and to read the copy, that it won't actually connect to people the way it should.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say when it comes to, text sales letters, which are these long form 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 word sales letter, copy is definitely important because think about it, in today's time when people don't have the attention span to be on a website for a minute, you're expecting somebody to read that much copy. So it has to be really, really good for them to keep scrolling down. But for e-commerce landing pages, I think design is equally important. I have had some, great examples on my side, thankfully, where I have redesigned the page without tweaking the copy, and
Hmm.
that's converted better just because the overall trust factor, the high converting elements, the call to actions, the right place to put the social proof, everything needs to come together. And that, you cannot, for example, let's think about like a sleep product, like a pillow, correct? What would the headline do? It's a sleep pillow. You can have one headline and a couple of bullet points about the pillow, but how it falls into the layout of the page is what has to be appealing for them to feel like, oh wow, it's a luxury brand or it's affordable luxury. They should have enough number of call to actions for people to be able to buy the product when they want it,
Hmm.
right? So I truly feel that design is very, very essential when it comes to shorter e-commerce style landing pages or lead gen pages or anything of that sort. Text sales letters, definitely copy is the king.
I think a great example there is, do you know Blissy, the
Oh
pillowcase
yeah, yeah,
company?
of course, of course, of course.
They do
I
such a
haven't
nice
seen
job.
anybody, I haven't seen any other checkout page being copied as much as Blissy's has till date.
Oh, right. Okay. Um, well, what I like about them is that you come to their page and it's just like you said, it's affordable luxury, and it's
Yeah.
everything about the page makes it feel like almost like that you're shopping in a department store. It doesn't feel like you're just buying some for some random person on the internet. It feels like a department store page.
And also, what happens is if you think about it, a lot of people send traffic to their e-com landing pages from a pre-sell page, right?
Hmm.
So if there's a pre-sell or an advertorial page before that, the selling or the heavy lifting of the copy is done on the pre-sell page. Now when they come to the landing page, it needs to look like an authentic good site which I trust, where I'm okay to put in my credit card information without wondering, hey, where's this site from, right? So I think that's where good design plays an important part.
From your perspective as a designer, what are the things you can do that can actually help a person feel that sense of trust and, and security and safety when they land on one of your pages?
Oh, sure, sure. So I think, first of all, great lifestyle imagery is a very key thing. A lot of brands miss out on that. They don't want to spend the money on getting a photo, a photo shoot done, etc. I think great lifestyle imagery is what helps the page come alive with all the other design elements. Then I would say, having social proof is essential, especially social proof in terms of UGC videos where people are talking about the product and that looks real. You don't need to have polished UGC videos taken by fake actors. You need to have real videos, right? Like if it's about a skincare product, you don't need to have a supermodel do it, right? Just need to have a regular person who's using a skincare product use the product and talk about it. That makes me feel like, okay, it's me using the product and that's the result I'm going to get, right? And then I also feel from a trust perspective, you need to have all the regular trust indicators like your number of reviews, where you are rated on. Like if you have a triple B rating or any of that, you should definitely have it. If you're on Trust Pilot, you should definitely have it because those are the things that enthuse trust in it. And yes, once you when you design the page, it should look very professional. It should not look too much of information crammed in, like different fonts playing here, different colors playing all around. Like a lot of times I've seen on a landing page, they'll have a different font for the body copy on the top section, and suddenly the font will change somewhere else. No, I by no means does that make sense. It has to be a uniform way of doing the page. It should look like, yes, it's a brand which has created this page to sell this product, and it's trustworthy.
So, it's interesting because traditionally people in direct response didn't really think that brand mattered as much, but I think they've come around to seeing things a different way, that everything must be branded now for people to feel some sense of trust in it.
Absolutely, yeah, and especially with the white hat and the e-com and TikTok and all of these places having landing pages, I think having a good brand is important because again the market's flooded, right? If we think about it, when I started this 10 years back, everybody was selling supplements on the same kind of old school landing pages, and while they exist, while they still work, but you will never see a Facebook ad linking to a very cluttered page. A Facebook ad will normally always link to a good looking branded page. So I think it's just the advent and how things come around. People get, your visitors and your buyers get more aware. So you have to cater to them, and you start realizing that it needs to look better. It needs to instill trust, that rather than just having a bunch of imagery and stock imagery and stuff just jammed into a page.
That is. So, kind of to move on, apart from like the specifics of design, how, to you as a business person, at this point, how hands-on involved are you in the details of design these days, and how much of your role is more now the kind of training and quality control for a team?
Sure. So I would say that I still micromanage a lot of stuff, and that's partly because of where I'm my the team that I have, and it's also partly because I am a micromanager in general. I like to be very hands-on with design, and I am very very quality conscious. But I would say that as I've grown in the business, yes, there are some parts which I used to probably be hands-on 5 years back. I'm not. But then as we grow and we get new types of pages or new type of products or new types of graphic designs we have to do, then I need to step back in. So I think it's a part of the growth process. I am very hands-on. I still do all communications with the clients myself. I Every design that leaves my office in my email or my Skype or Slack is checked by me before I send it over. So yes,
Hmm.
I'm pretty hands-on. Yeah, I have a great team to support me. But with design, it's sometimes what happens is it's also about the exposure to a particular product or to a particular market, right? So because I have had the chance to communicate more with clients, see more of this happening online, etc., I just have a better understanding. So sometimes I need to give that extra support to my team when we are doing so many different pages every single day.
Hmm. How much do you find yourself spending a lot of time just trying to keep up with trends and like looking at other landing pages and being
Oh
aware
yeah,
of what's
yeah.
going on
I
in new
think it's an
products?
ongoing process. I think it's an ongoing process, and I think when you've spent so many years in the industry, things start keep sticking to your mind when you see them once. Like for example, I saw a checkout page today which had some elements on it. Like I didn't even have to make a mental note of it. I didn't even have to make a physical note of it. In my mind, I exactly know when I do the next checkout page, I want to try that element on my checkout page, right? So I think after a point of time, it just becomes in a manner where you start grasping quicker. But yeah, it's an ongoing process. I still spend a lot of times on Saturdays just searching for ads and just looking at landing pages and making notes and stuff like that. So it's an ongoing process. You can never leave that because trends keep changing so quickly in this space.
What product categories do you see are like hot right now or seem to be trending upwards and people should be looking at for the next 12 months?
I think health and wellness still is hot. Nutra will always remain hot. I see, I mean, I'm getting a little specific, but I think in the US market, the semaglutide stuff is doing really well right now. Everybody is on that. More and more, pharmacies are open to delivering it. So I see a lot of traction happening on that part. But I think health and wellness is still golden. Every year, I feel there's going to be something else. But I mean, it's also because I have more exposure to clients who have a lot of exposure to health and wellness products. But yeah, that's I still think is a very hot vertical to still look at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
With what you do, you mentioned like earlier when we spoke in the conversation that you don't tend to actually do a lot of like marketing yourself for your own business, that most of your business building is done through networking and relationship building.
Yes.
So what kind of activities do you schedule into your week to make sure you're keeping up with your network and keeping new opportunities coming to you?
Sure, sure. So I think first off is engaging on social media for sure.
Hmm.
I think social media has been a great boost, not just posting stuff, but always being on the lookout of if a client is looking for help, if he wants to be connected to somebody else. Might not be just something that I do, but for example, if you send up a post saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a fulfillment manufacturer," I will always immediately respond to that post in a quick DM or something and tell them, "Hey, I know this person," right? So that's how you keep the connection growing, and when it comes back to you, you'll never come to know. Like, I'll be very honest, I recently did exactly what I just told you. There was a guy who was looking for a supplement manufacturer. I connected them, and for 3 months there was nothing else, no other chat. But when he finally was ready to launch the supplement, he remembered, "Hey Akshay, do you do label designs and web pages?" And he came back to me, right? So that, I think, making those connections all the time is very important. I also am a part of a lot of these Telegram channels and groups and Facebook groups where I actively engage with people. And of course, I make my own posts, whether it's testimonials, whether it's trying to give some value away on my Facebook page, which gets me a lot of business.
Hmm.
And I think attending in person events is essential. I think my business, skyrocketed after I attended my first event. I think it is a must because the kind of relationships you build there just work out so much better. And it's funny, a lot of people think that when they go to a conference, they're going to talk business. You don't really talk too much business. I mean, I don't remember when I actually closed the deal in a conference. You just build your network, you just build connections. It's so many times that comes back later. I mean, all that you do is you just exchange a Skype, handle or a Telegram handle, but you're not really talking business. You're just building your network there. So I think in-person events are very, very important. There's no replacement for that.
Yes,
I mean, I
I
fly all the way from India to US twice or thrice a year for just like 4 or 5 days to just attend a conference and come back, and it's worth its weight in gold, man.
what was the last event that you attended?
The last one was the Vegas event,
And
the
who
Affiliate
was
Summit
that?
West.
Was it Affiliate Summit?
Yeah, Affiliate Summit West. It was in Vegas. Oh yeah, I went to Dubai as well after that in February. So yeah, Dubai.
Okay, amazing. So those are big trips. Like it's a big investment, right? It's a lot of money and a lot of
Yeah.
time to go.
Yes, yes. I think when I did it the first time, John, I felt the same. I was like, "Oh my God, what if I don't? What if this is not worth, the expense on the flight tickets and the hotel and the stay and everything?" But I think I did it at a point where that would be a worthy investment. And honestly, for example, if I did not see any worth of it, or it did not work out for me, it would still not be such a big loss, right? So I
Mhm.
I did take a calculated risk that time, but I think if you do it a couple of times, it will work out. If you're in the industry, you want to build connections, I think it's essential to do that.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
didn't go to any events and I've done everything kind of online. But then the last couple of years, I've had a couple of opportunities to go. Um, went to a conference last year, met a bunch of people at it, and no direct business came. But then this year, one of the attendees at that conference was doing something in Dublin, and he said, "Hey, would you come and help me for the day?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And he said, "I need somebody to speak about something to my audience. Could you give a talk?" I was like, "Yes, I will." And I went and did a talk, and then I got 5 new clients from just giving that talk. And I was like, and there was no resistance. They were just like, "Yes, I want to work with you." It wasn't about like, "I'll have to think about it," or all those other things. It was like, "I saw you, I enjoyed your talk. You've been introduced to me by this person who's invited you to speak. I trust you already, and I
Yeah.
would like to work with you now." And it's easy, so easy.
It's absolutely, and like I feel the time that I went to the US for the first time for my first conference was in New York. I think it
Hmm.
was 7 years back. I don't even remember now exact year. But once I came back, the trust and the connections I built with my existing clients was also higher, right? Till a certain, and I'll be very honest, it's like a very Indian thing to say probably, but we have a lot of freelancers in India, right?
Hmm.
So people always treat you as a freelancer, but the minute I met them and I came back, in somewhere I feel, while I don't have any test to prove that that's what happened, but I felt that their mindset about me shifted to from an Indian freelancer to a
Hmm.
business owner. and that really helped me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like the respect increased because you made the time to go and see them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, of course, and people are very happy when you do that. Like a lot of times when I go to these places and I have clients who live there, they invite me for dinner. I will always take out that time to go to their place for a cup of coffee or dinner or something like that, because that means it's such a great relationship that they want you to come home, right? So it really works out. I have some of my closest friends from the industry now, who I just will give them a call and chat with them. It has got nothing to do with business at all.
Yes. Yeah, I've found the same. Like people in the end, of course, you need to be competent at your work, but
Yeah.
their decision about whether to work with you or not often comes down to just things like values, whether they feel like you share common values, and then they feel it's comfortable and safe to work with you, and they
Yeah.
trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I think I have met most of my clients by this time at some conference or the other, and that's one reason why I started going to the US conferences, because I realized that people don't come down to Bangkok and Dubai as much. Now the trend has changed. Now a lot of my clients come down to Bangkok, so it's very easy for me to meet them at the affiliate Bangkok summit, which happens
Hmm.
in December. But it was absolutely life changing for me from a business perspective. Like it really skyrocketed my business. So I always tell people, whenever I have some people in my country who are looking at ways to scaling up, I'm like, guys, attend an event. I will, like, I was helped by some of my clients to show me around the ropes of how to network in that very short time in such a power packed event. I always want to pay it forward by helping somebody else do that.
Hmm.
Because it really works for everybody.
It seems like the last couple of years, like the stature of Dubai has really come up as well in the industry. Like there's more events there, more entrepreneurs are moving from the US there. Have you
Oh yeah,
found that?
yeah, 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 100%. First of all, I think Dubai is. I think in terms of setting up businesses in Dubai, I know a lot of my clients have their offshore companies set up in Dubai. The tax break is phenomenal. Of course, if you can afford the life there, the lifestyle there that you enjoy is fantastic. And I think when it comes to conferences, the Dubai conference become very popular because it's right in the middle, right? You don't have to fly, and people can do a lot of stuff around Dubai. So
Mhm.
it always becomes like a holiday along with the conference. So that's always great.
Yeah, I think just from the perspective of being a transport hub, like from Asia, from Australia, from the United States, everybody can meet there. It's kind of become the center of the world these days.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the Dubai conference is fantastic as well. I mean, it's one of the best conferences that I have attended in a long time.
Now, at this point, after having being in business for, you said more than 10 years at this point, is
Yeah,
that right?
but it's my 12th year running.
Do you
Yeah,
find yourself like giving mentorship or training other business owners or people reaching out to you looking for that mentorship?
I would love that, man. In fact, I have been doing that in a small way. I've not put it out there, but yeah, definitely would love to do that. I'm doing that for a couple of people I know in India who are in the same industry. Of course, it's easier for me to train the people in the same industry because I can make the right connections. I can tell them how to, take their business forward, etc. But absolutely would love to do that, because apart from, I think when you train somebody, there's some lessons that you forget along the way and you remember them again. Like when I was telling somebody about how to write a proposal, I was like, oh my god, I have not done this in my proposal in such a long time. I need to get it back, right? So sometimes I feel when you train people, you learn a couple of lessons that you have forgotten over the years. So yeah, definitely.
Yes, this is true. You kind of remind yourself of things that you used to do that actually worked, but you stopped doing them for one reason or another along the way.
Yeah. And like, even when you go back memory lane and you think about, oh, this happened, it makes you feel good. It reminds me of a good time. You remember what the struggle was and where you reached. So it's always a feel good thing when you talk to people and help them out, right? So I think it's just but natural to pay it forward, because I honestly have had enough people who have helped me out to get me to this point.
You nowadays spend a lot of time on your sales process. Have you productized your business, or do you find that everything's custom still?
It is still custom, man. Like I mean, it's just that one thing that where I want to launch like templates which I can sell, etc. But
Hmm.
right now, the way my business has progressed, I still have a good number of clients coming for custom design work, and I think that's where my special sauce lies, because templates are plenty. You can copy enough number of designs, etc. So I think I have stuck to that, and that's worked well for me. So as long as that works out, I'm good. I keep building that little productization part of my business on the back end, but I haven't thought of launching it yet.
I hear you. So it's actually the case, and I think this is because you tend to work with sort of like tend to be more established businesses who've been around for a few years, that they
Yeah.
don't want a product. They
Yeah.
just want somebody who will give them that special, like that white glove service where they feel like everything is taken care of.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Like, and like people think about it, sometimes I realize that there might be better designers, but what happens is the client does not have the time or the patience to explain what is a landing page, right?
Hmm.
And there'll be some things about a landing page which a designer who's not worked in this space will have no idea about, right? When they come to me and we have one call, what I can discuss in 15 minutes probably might take him a very long document to write down or a lot of steps to write down, right? So everybody in this space wants everything done yesterday. So the faster they can get it done, the higher chances that they will come to you again and again.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think they also feel, because I am a part of the industry, I think I also know of trends, current pages, what's hot, why is this not working, do you know which network is using which page. So some basic industry intelligence, offering that as a part of when a consultation call is happening or a discovery call is happening, has always been very helpful.
Yes, and that's not design at all, but that's actually something that people are coming to you where they feel like you are tapped into what's going on in the industry and they can get access to your knowledge that way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if you want an audit of your page, just send it to me. Like, I'll just record a 15-minute Loom video and tell you what I think can be improved on your page. Use it with your team however you want it. I do have a couple of consulting clients who, pay me an hourly rate to just review their designs because they have an internal team. But, at the same time, they want to see what I can bring to the table because I am tapped into the industry. So sometimes I know, okay, this is doing well right now, so why don't we change this around to see how it will all fall together when you use a proven strategy?
Hmm.
So definitely a big advantage there.
I had a conversation recently with an agency owner, and he said something very interesting to me. He said, like, I've always done good work and delivered good results for my clients, but I used to think that was all that mattered. And so he said, I would send the clients, like, here's what we've done, here's an update on the results. And I would just send them nothing but that. And they would still leave. And I couldn't understand. He's like, I'm doing a good job, I'm getting good results. And then he said, I came to the realization later that the results was only half the job, that was the basics. What they really wanted was to feel like you cared about them and were interested in helping them succeed. And once I started to make some extra effort on that side, my business grew much faster.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'll be very honest, it happens. So we also do label designs and product packaging design, right? So
Hmm.
sometimes what happens is, for example, by the end of the day, my team sends me some stuff and I send it off to the client. The client looks at them and he's like, okay, Akshay, these look good, let's go with this one, right? However, if I feel that I'm not convinced about it, I will go that extra step, even though he has selected it and he's absolutely happy about it. He hasn't shown any hesitation with the design, or if he wants to change something. But if I'm not 100% happy about it, I will do another couple of rounds and tell him, what, I think you should reconsider this and see how this looks, right? So that extra effort is what makes a very big difference to them, because they're like, okay, this guy will just not give me something which I think will work. He also is invested in, he did not like the design, so he gave me something extra. So that's a very big plus for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you find that once you start the relationship with people that they'll stay a long time?
Yes, I think so. That's the good part about working in the direct response space, is everybody's business is tied up online. So if
Hmm.
you do good work for them, and if everything goes well for them, or sometimes even if it does not go well for them, this is their business, right? So they'll launch an offer. If it doesn't work, they will launch another offer, right? So people will come back at some point of time. I have a couple of clients on retainer. Most of them are per project basis, but yeah, I work with the same churn of clients over and over again. Like, if they launch a product, they'll scale it for some time, then they'll want to either optimize it, add on to it, or launch a new one. So yeah, I of course have same clients coming back to me.
What do you find, like outside of just delivering good work, that will that tends to bring people back or make people want to come back again and again?
I think it's about how much ever you can help them with what else they need after your part of the job is done. And number two, always checking with them. Like, for example, my design is done, I am responsible for a landing page, I've designed it, the client has it, he's running traffic to it, yada yada, right? But I will always go back and always pester them to tell me, hey, how's the page doing? Can you share some stats? Can I help you with anything? Can we optimize something? So first of all, that of course lets them know that I care about their process and their, their results. And believe me not, that's also a reason so many times when clients, you're discussing this with them and they're like, hey, do you think this can help? I feel, yeah, maybe this can help, and that'll get me the next project, right? So following up with them, being in touch with them, not bugging them too much, right? But
Hmm.
at the same time, doing that regular follow up. And there is no system to it. Like, I don't have an Excel sheet where I will make a note that, hey, I spoke to John 3 months back. Let's go back and say hi. No. If I see John's post about something, and if I remember that he used a page, I'll be like, hey, John, how you doing? Is that page still live, right? That's about it. People, I think, appreciate that in today's mechanical world. When you have a little human touch to, a conversation, check up with them, whatever, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. People have asked me similar things like, is there a system? How often should you follow up? And it's like, it's not, you can't, this is human stuff. You don't know. If the conversation is going good and you feel like that they're interested to keep talking, you keep talking. If
Yeah.
you feel like they're very busy and they haven't got time to talk right now, you leave them alone and you come back later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, I mean, I always feel that, and especially, again, a lot of things differ when you have been in the space for a while than when you start out. So, this is not a generic statement to make, but when you have worked with a lot of clients, you understand their psyche. You know who needs to be had a follow up with to get that next project, and who will come back to you on its own, right? So that's why I
Mhm.
said, it's very mental. You just make, it's a mental note you make. There's no system to it. A lot of people ask me when I am doing small mentoring session that, how should I DM them? I'm like, I don't know what a cold DM is. I try not to cold DM people. I know it works in different spaces, but I have never done that. So I'm not the right person to guide you about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What I also do find as well is that if you're going out there looking for a new business or looking for the sales, a lot of the time it will elude you. But if you're just going out there and talking to a lot of people, inevitably something comes up, something falls into your lap just because you put your face in front of somebody else.
100%, man. 100%. Absolutely. In fact, there have been so many times I have been introduced in a chat group, and, people have said, hey, they wanted a new designer, and this is Akshay, and, he does great work. And that chat is just silent, right?
Hmm.
But that introduction has been made. They know that there's a designer. So that little bit of follow up, that little bit of, just being there when they need it, having a face when you see them on social media. Like, a lot of times when I post a story about some testimonial or some win that I've had, somebody will be like, hey, I did not know you do this as well. Even though they probably know I do this, but they just don't remember it, right? We're also busy in our own stuff. So I think that's just how it works. You have to be out there for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. And this also goes the same way with content. People will ask, like, how often should I post? And it's like, well, how often do you want people to think about you?
But yeah.
If you want them to think about you every day, you need to be putting yourself in front of them every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also depends. Like, for example, a lot of times I initially used to use my social media just to post wins and client appreciations, and my appreciation for clients as to when they gave me a chance to work with. Then I started posting some stuff about giving value, etc. I don't have a system. I
Hmm.
just feel that I mean, I just post when I want and what I want. Like, I don't think about it too much, and I post it, and I think that's always the best. Every time I feel I have thought about something and gone back on my keyboard and used the backspace to
Yeah.
fix something up, that's not a great post for me.
Yes, I agree. If you write something that's quick and immediate with some feeling,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
the inspiration comes and you get it down quick and post it quick, it has tends to connect with people better.
yeah. Yeah, and in today's world, I mean, there are times when I have done this. I have seen somebody's great post, I've copied that post, and I've put on an AI checker, and it's AI generated, and I just completely lose interest. There was this one guy who I mean, I needed some kind of a vendor relationship with something in the industry, and I was seeing these posts again and again. I was like, yeah, that seems like a good connection to have. But then it felt like too clinical a post, right? Like, not one comma missing, not one thing which sounded colloquial, and I just I just lost interest. So I think you have to be genuine, you have to be out there and original, and that's how it works.
Yeah, it all comes back to the human.
Yeah, absolutely. The human, absolutely.
Actually, where can people find out about you and connect with you to get to know more?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook. That's the place that I hang out most on. I'm,
Hmm.
yeah. I'll drop my name here so you can post it if with it. So I'm on
I'll put it in
Facebook.
the
And
video description afterwards.
perfect. So I'm on Facebook. I'm on Skype. I'm on Telegram. That's where you can find me, and you can chat with me whenever you want. And if I can be of any help to anybody who's watching this, please let me know. Right.
Awesome. Okay, any final thoughts before we wrap?
No, thank you, John. It was I've been waiting to get on this call with you, and we've been going back and forth. So I'm so glad it happened. It was such a cool, nice chat, and this is what I love about this. Thing is no preparations, no questions. We just had a quick chat.
Actually, you reached out to me, and that's another thing is you,
Yeah,
because sometimes people will say, "Hey, I want to do an interview," and I'll say, "Yeah, let's do one," and then
yeah,
just for one reason or another get distracted, and
yeah,
it doesn't happen, and then people say, "Hey, we never had an interview," and I can feel like that they are, upset or something, like they, and I'm like, "Oh, I just forgot it," but you didn't do that. You just said, "Hey, John, we should organize that." You just reached
yeah,
out
yeah,
behind me,
yeah,
no pressure, but like, "Hey, we talked about this. We should actually do it." And then it's like, okay,
absolutely.
now we schedule it. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what I noticed with this that you had no expectation, but you're just like reminding me, "Hey, we should do
Yeah,
this."
and honestly, it was
Best way.
because I used to watch all the interviews. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's so cool. And I think I always used to message saying, hey, John, I saw this one. It was really cool. Like I've not seen all of them, but whenever I saw one, I would always reach out because if I found value in it and I enjoyed the conversation, I would just reach out to you. And that's when you sent me a voice note saying, hey, we should get you on one. I'm like, yeah, sure. While I had no expectations, I was just, complimenting you on your podcast and your interviews because they were so nice. So that's about it. So it works out.
Awesome. Akshay, thank you so much for coming today. And
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
let's do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for having me, man.